Hello everyone, this is B. Uday Kumar, working as an assistant professor of physics in Dr. B.R.R. Government College at Cherla. So in today's video, we try to uh, finish off the topics that were left in the chapter magnetostatics. So in our last class, in our last video, we were dealing the applications of Ampere's law. So uh, in applications of Ampere's law, we derived the expression for magnetic field induction due to a straight current carrying conductor, and in today's video we try to determine the magnetic field induction that is arised due to a solenoid and a toroid, and after that we also try to prove what is Ampere's law, which we haven't done. Okay, so fine. So now first we try to find the magnetic field induction due to solenoid. Okay, so we just move on to the topic now. So this is B due to a long straight solenoid. So what is solenoid? First we try to understand that. So you can see this image, right? So it's a solenoid. You must have seen it many times. Okay, it is a solenoid. You must have seen spring, right? In our day-to-day life, we come across this spring that many of us must have seen. So this is nothing but a spring. Okay, so a spring shaped conductor is called as solenoid. A spring shaped conductor is called as a solenoid, so that you try to get it. So that is the definition of the solenoid, or else you can also define the solenoid by this. What is this? A coil of wire wound on the surface of a cylinder is called as solenoid. So this is called as solenoid. A coil of wire wound on the surface of a cylinder is called as solenoid. So that means if you take any cylinder and if you wound, that means if you wound a wire on that cylinder, you get a spring shaped conductor, which we call it as solenoid. So this solenoid will have two ends. Okay, through one end the current enters. If current enters through this end, automatically the current comes out of that solenoid from this end. Or if the current enters the solenoid from this end, the current comes out of this solenoid from this end. Okay, so this is how it works. So for example, if you consider this diagram, it's a solenoid. You just check it out. So plus is taken here, minus is mentioned here. That means you can connect a battery across this solenoid with the help of this plus and minus terminals. If it happens, so if you connect battery, the current enters the solenoid like this. So that you have to understand here. So the current entering this solenoid like this. So once the current enters it, so now what happens? Whatever the current that enters this conductor, it just flows through this wire like this. So that means the front face of the solenoid will be having the directions of current in upward direction like this. Okay, so the current will be flowing like this, and the back face of the solenoid will be having the direction of current in downward direction. That you have to understand here. Okay, so now since the current is flowing in upward direction on the front face, by using right hand rule you can easily determine the direction of magnetic field that is present inside this solenoid, and the direction of magnetic field will be like this. It's already mentioned with the arrows here, so please check it out. So this is the direction of magnetic field that is coming out of the solenoid. Okay, since the lines of the magnetic field are coming out of this solenoid from this end, this face of the solenoid acts as north pole of the magnet, and since whatever the magnetic lines that are coming out of this space, they travel all the way and enters this phase, right? And this phase acts as south pole now. So that means actually there is no magnetic field that we are physically placing here, but there is a solenoid in which the current is flowing. As you already know, Oersted discovered that a current carrying conductor produces magnetic field. It is also a current carrying conductor, and since current is flowing through this conductor, which is in the form of that means which is in the form of a spring, which we call it as solenoid, it also produces magnetic field, which is represented with the help of magnetic lines of forces. So whatever the magnetic field that is produced here, this phase acts as north pole and this phase acts as south pole. So this is the magnetic field that is produced due to solenoid, that you can understand. Okay, I hope it is clear now. Now coming to the derivation part, our aim is to find the magnetic field on the axis of the solenoid. Okay, and remember, this is the front view of the solenoid, and if you see it from side, it looks like a circle. That's it. Okay, this solenoid looks like a circle if you see it from side. So that means from south pole, where whatever the phase that we are saying that it acts as south pole or north pole, from this end or this end, if you see this solenoid, it looks like a circle, not more than that. Okay, so anyway, now let us move on to the derivation part. Okay, so by using Ampere's law, we try to find the magnetic field induction due to solenoid. Okay, so this is our solenoid. So as you know, as you already know, what is Ampere's law? It is that means stated as the line integral of magnetic field is equal to mu0 times the current enclosed by the closed loop. Is that clear? So that means to apply Ampere's law, first of all you need to construct a closed loop. So that is our aim now. Okay, so let us assume that this is our solenoid, and let us assume that the current is flowing through this solenoid in this way. So let us assume that the current is entering this end, and the current is coming out of this solenoid from this end, as we have seen in this case. Okay, let us take the same case here. Okay, so now since the current is flowing through this solenoid, the magnetic field will be directed in this way. Okay, so that means this becomes the axis of the solenoid, which is passing through the center of the solenoid, and along this axis the direction of magnetic field is towards left. So this is the direction of magnetic field, so that you try to understand it. So now choose a, that means to apply Ampere's law, we have to choose a closed loop. So that is our first step that we have to do. Okay, so for that reason, what we do is that we choose a closed loop A, B, C, D in this form. A, B, C. Okay, let me take the arrow mark here. So this is A, B, C, D and A. So this is the closed loop, which is in the shape of rectangle that we are considering here. So that means whatever the cylinder that is present here, cylinder in the sense I am speaking the shape of the solenoid. So whatever the solenoid that is present, exactly this rectangle is cutting it. Okay, it's cutting it, but actually this rectangular closed loop that I am considering is it doesn't exist. We are just imagining it. Okay, and it is passing it is that means it is cutting the solenoid, and one length of that means the length of the rectangle, you can assume that it is along the axis of the solenoid. It is along the axis of the solenoid. Is that clear? So that I hope it is fine. So once we have constructed the closed loop, just apply Ampere's law and try to solve that. Okay, so anyway, this is our Ampere's law. The line integral of magnetic field around a closed path or loop is equal to mu0 times the current enclosed by the loop. If I, that means since whatever the closed loop that I have considered, since it is of the shape of rectangle, it has four sides, right? Since it is of four sides, this entire integration can be splitted into four parts now, and each part represents the line integral of the magnetic field along one side. So that means to understand that, let us take this step. It is the closed integral of B dot dl, right? So which I can write it as integral. So now this, since this path is closed path, so the integration, that means whatever the lower limit, that means lower limit that we are considering here, it is also ending at the same point, like, so that means closed means what, it is starting the entire closed path is starting from A and moving on to B, then moving on to C, D, and again it is ending on A, right? And hence I am taking the closed path as A, B, C, D. I am just representing that closed path like this. So that means this closed path is starting from A and also ending on A. So it represents that this is the line integral of magnetic field around a closed path. So now this entire integration is split into 4 parts now. So what are the 4 parts here that I am considering? AB, let us assume that AB is the length of the rectangle, whose length you can take it as a small l or capital L, so choice is yours. And BC and DA or AD, these two, okay, if I want to mention it, you can mention it. So let the length of the rectangle is L and the breadth of the rectangle is B. I could, that means I cannot take capital B here because already there is one more B which shows that capital V is magnetic field induction, and hence I can take this as say some small b, or else you can take any notation that you want. Okay, so choice is yours. You can take small l also here, so choice is yours. Anyway, so let the length and breadth of the rectangles are rectangle here is capital L and small b. So now this integration part, this is where we have to start the discussion. So that means this entire line integral of magnetic field around this closed path can be written as the sum of 4 line integrals. So one is I can write, that means I can write the line integral of magnetic field from A to B. So this becomes the first line integral of magnetic field around the closed path. So that means along AB we are finding the line integral, and that is this one. And the next I can write it as the line integral of magnetic field from B to C, which is mentioned here. And again the line integral of magnetic field around along C to D is mentioned by this mathematical form. And again the line integral of magnetic field from D to A is mentioned by this form. So that means the total line integral of magnetic field around a closed path can be splitted into 4 parts and written like this. So this is what you have to understand. So again the next step I can write it like this. So integral B dot dl I can write it as so you know that B dot dl is the dot product of magnetic field and the length element that I am considering, right? So the dot product of two vectors is B dl cos, you already know that the dot product of A and B I can write it as AB cos theta, and hence B dot dl I can write it as B dl cos theta. So you know this formula. But anyway, the integration limits are different in each term, so that you try to get it. So this is integral A to B, and B dot dl I can write it as B dl cos theta. And the next term is integral B to C, and B dot dl I can write it as B dl cos theta. And the third term is again integral C to D, B dot dl I can write it as B dl cos theta. And fourth term is again integral D to A, B dot dl I can write it as B dl cos theta. But you have to understand one thing here, these thetas are the angle between B and dl along the path A and B, so that you try to get it. If you are confusing little bit, you can take them as theta 1, theta 2, theta 3 and theta 4 also, but that is not necessary here. If you want to take, you can take the notation differently, or you can take them as same, but while substituting the values you need to be little careful. So anyway, if you take them separately, so here theta 1 becomes the angle between B and dl along AB, and here theta 2 becomes the angle between B and dl along B and C, and here theta 3 becomes the angle between B and dl along the path CD, and theta 4 is the angle between B and dl along the path D to A. So that you have to understand. So anyway, here the integral B to C B dl cos theta and integral D to A B dl cos theta are going to be 0 because theta is equal to 90 degrees. Okay, I hope you get this one. Anyway, for that explanation, let us take this one. So you know dl, right? Dl is nothing but the length element that we are choosing along the paths. So for example, along CD I can choose a path here. So this is dl. You can check that, you can assume that this is dl, and even here also I can choose a path which is dl, and here also I can choose a path which is mentioned as dl, and even here also I can choose a path which is dl again. Okay, so for convenient, let me take some other colors. Other color I can take it as, say, some blue here. So this is dl, right? I hope it is visible. This is dl. So here we are discussing the line integral of magnetic field along BC and DA, right? So let us concentrate on BC. So this is B and C. Okay, and the line integral is mentioned here, dl. Whose direction is this? This is the direction of dl. Okay, but along this path, okay, along this path the line integral the line elements direction is in upward direction, but the along this path, forget about the point that is considered outside the solenoid, but you can consider the point that is inside the solenoid. So for example, if you take this point, it is present inside the solenoid, right? So you know that inside the solenoid the direction of magnetic field is towards left. So that means along the path BC, the angle between B and DL will be 90 degrees. So that you have to understand. Along the path BC, the angle between B and DL is 90 degrees. So that is what mentioned here. So along the path B to C, the angle between B and DL is 90 degrees. That means in place of theta, what you get? You get 90 degrees here. Okay. Similarly, along the path DA, along the path DA, the angle between B and DL will be again 90 degrees. Even here also you get 90 degrees. Okay, so that you have to understand. Okay, along the path B to C means if you take all the angles by theta, there is no problem. Even if you take them separately, here along the path B to C, the angle is taken as theta 2, right? So that means theta 2 becomes 90 degrees, and along the path D to A, the angle between B and DL is taken as theta 4. If you take them separately, theta 4 also becomes 90 degrees. I hope it is clear. Even here also DL will be directed in downward direction, but B will be directed towards left only. So that means the angle between them will be again here 90 degrees. So that means out of these four terms, this second term, that means the line integral of magnetic field along BC becomes 0, and the line integral of magnetic field along the D to A also becomes 0, because during, that means along those paths, the angle between B and DL will be 90 degrees, because you know that if theta is 90, cos 90 is 0, right? So you know the basic formulas, substitute them. Okay, so now out of 4 integrals, 2 integrals are turning out to be zeros. So now what are the integrals that are left? So now there are only 2 integrals that are left now. So the first one and the third one. So again go to the diagram. So in this case, now consider this C to D integral. C to D means third integral. So along this path C to D, the line integral is directed towards right, but what you have to observe here is that there will not be any magnetic field that is present at a point just outside the solenoid. Can you see this one? The magnetic lines of forces. The magnetic lines of forces are larger in number inside the solenoid, but outside the solenoid there are very few number of lines of magnetic lines of forces do exist. So that means if I consider, or if I draw a closed path in such a way that it is very near to solenoid, so outside the solenoid the magnetic field will be 0. So that means along the path C to D, uh, the direction between B and DL doesn't matter at all, because the value of magnetic field itself will be 0. So that is what you have to observe. So that means along the path C to D, the value of magnetic field itself is 0, and hence integral C to D B dl cos theta becomes 0. So that you have to understand. So along C to D, the line integral of magnetic field will be 0, because B value will be equal to 0. So that means the third integral also gets becomes 0. So whatever the integral that is left will be the first one. So along the path A to B, you know that A to B means you are moving towards left, right? A to B. So try to understand the direction. So the direction of DL will be towards left, and the direction of magnetic field also will be towards left, and hence along the path A to B, the value of angle between B and DL will be 0. So that you try to understand. That means along different paths, what are the angles between B and DL, and what are the values of B, that you need to understand. Once you understand them, the derivation is going to be easy. So this is all the explanation part that you have to understand. So now let us move on to our next slide. Remember, in our next slide there will be only one term which is left. The first term will be left, and even in that the angle between B and DL will be 0, and hence you get cos 0 here. You know that cos 0 value is 1. Since cos 0 value is 1, you will be having only integral A to B B dl. Okay, so that you try to get it. So fine. So substituting 3, 4 into, so what are 3 and 4? So these are the conditions that we discussed, and this is our second equation. If I substitute them, what you get, that means the total line integral of magnetic field around the closed path, I can write it as integral A to B B dl cos theta. I already told you, right, the first term will be left, but along path A to B, the angle between B and DL is 0, and hence if you substitute that, you get cos 0, and you know that cos 0 is 1, and hence substitute that, and B will be constant, take it out. If B comes out, it becomes B integral A to B dl, which I can write it as B times integral A to B dl is what? You know that the length of the rectangle is capital L, right? And hence from A to B integral dl, I can write it as capital L. You know the basic integration formulas, substitute them. So if I substitute, I get dl. So this becomes equation number 5. So what is equation number 5? It is the total line integral of magnetic field that you are getting around the closed path. But what is Ampere's law? Ampere's law is given from equation 1, right? So from equation 1, Ampere's law states that the total line integral of magnetic field is mu 0 times I enclosed. So that means we have determined the value of total line integral of magnetic field, which you get it in equation number 5. So this equation number 5, if I substitute in equation number 1, I get this formula. So on left hand side you get dl. So this one, in place of integral B dot dl, you get bl from equation number 5. If that bl is equal to, on right hand side what we were having mu 0 times I enclosed. So write that formula. Okay, so after substituting that, you just simplify it. That's it. You are getting the answer here itself. So mu 0 I enclosed. What is this I enclosed? That is important. That you have to understand here. So I enclosed is nothing but the total current that is present inside the closed path. Okay. So inside the closed path, what is the current that is present? We always confuse here, because whatever the current that is entering this solenoid, I take it as either small I or capital I. So whatever it may be, what I have. Okay. So here we have taken small I. So we assume that we think that the total current that is present inside the closed path is small I. That is what we think actually, but actually that is not. The current that is present inside the closed path is not just I. It depends on the total number of turns that are present inside this closed path. To understand this, we will erase everything that is written over here. Okay, so let us assume that the current I is entering now. So if current I is entering, what does it mean? It means that in this turn I will be moving, even in this turn the current I will be flowing, even in this turn the current I will be flowing, and like that the front faces of the turns will be having the currents that are moving in upward direction, like that. And if you observe carefully, the current that is present inside the closed path will be equal to the currents that are present in terms of number of turns. For example, if you take the closed path from A to B, and inside this closed path there are different number of turns here. For example, this turn is present inside the closed path, and this turn is also present inside the closed path. It also present inside the closed path. It also present inside the closed path. This one, and this one. So diagrammatically, if I calculate here, actually the current that is entering is sorry, I, but the current that is present inside the closed path is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that means the current that is present inside the closed path is 7A. That is what I am explaining it from diagram, right? But it need not be 7. It depends on the closed path that you are choosing, right? So if you assume that the total number of turns that are present inside the closed path is capital N, then the total current that is present inside the closed path will be equal to N times I. So that is what you have to understand here, and that is what written over here. So I enclosed is nothing but the total current that is present inside the closed path, which depends on the number of turns. Okay, so then the total current automatically becomes the total number of turns multiplied by the current that is entering in each turn. So that is what you have to understand. So from this equation, what I can write it as B times capital L, I can write it as mu 0 capital N times I, where if I send this capital N to right hand side, I can write that equation as B is equal to mu 0 capital N I by capital L. But if you separate the number of turns and length of the closed path that you are choosing, you can write it as mu 0 capital N by capital L times I. But this is nothing but the number of turns per unit length, which is denoted by small n. So that is what you have to understand. Remember, this was the closed path that we considered in our last topic, right? Okay, so if the number of turns that are present inside this closed path is capital N, and if the length of the closed path is L, if you divide N with L, it becomes number of turns per unit length, which is denoted as small n. And hence if you substitute that formula, it becomes the formula for magnetic field induction of a solenoid along the axis circuit. So that is what you have to understand here. So finally this becomes the formula of magnetic field induction along the axis of the solenoid. But you need to understand there are two n's here. One is capital N and another one is small n. Small n is the number of turns per unit length, and capital N is the number of turns that are present along the length of capital L. Okay, so that you try to get it. So that's it. So this is B due to a straight long solenoid. So you know what is solenoid, right? So try to remember what is a solenoid and also its derivation. So now let us move on to our next topic, that is B due to toroid. So what is a toroid? So toroid completely depends on solenoid. If you understand what is solenoid, you automatically understand what is toroid. So remember, solenoid, you know that it is of a spring shape, right? So if that spring shape is bent in the form of circle, you get toroid. This is what toroid is. This is toroid, okay, which is bent in the form of circle. That means a solenoid which is bent in the form of circle is called as toroid. So this is the definition of toroid. A solenoid bent in the form of circle is called as toroid. As usual, like in solenoid, it will have two ends. In one end, if current enters, from the other end the current leaves that system. So let us assume that through this end the current I is entering, and hence through this end the current will be leaving. Okay, so since the current is entering from the system, the directions of current in different turns will be like this. So please check it out. So the current moves like it. Let me take this one. The current moves like that and passes through the wire from the back side of the toroid and again comes to the front. So like that the current flows through the toroid like this. So like that even current will be flowing in upward direction on the front face. Okay, like that. So like that, and finally it moves out of the solenoid. So since the direction of the current in toroid is towards the center, for example if I assume that it is the center of the toroid, if you carefully observe in each turn the direction of current is towards the center of the circle or toroid. So by using right hand rule you can easily imagine the direction of you can easily understand the direction of magnetic field that is produced at the center of the toroid. So by using right hand rule you can say that the magnetic field is produced uh, inside the toroid and its direction will be like this. The direction of magnetic field will be like it. Okay, in clockwise direction the magnetic field will be produced. So that is what you have to understand. Anyway, now let us try to derive the expression for magnetic field due to this toroid. So for that the derivation is very simple. So let us assume that this is the toroid due to which I want to find the magnetic field induction. Let us assume that capital I current is entering this toroid and automatically the same amount of current will be coming out of this toroid. And the next to find the magnetic field, and remember the magnetic field will be produced only inside the toroid, only inside the toroid like this. Okay, anyway I'm erasing it. The magnetic field will be produced only inside the toroid. I explained already this one. Only inside the toroid the magnetic field will be present, right? This we explained in our previous slide. So now to find the magnetic field here, what we do, we just use Ampere's law. Okay, so to find to use or to apply Ampere's law, first of all you need to construct a closed path. So that you have to understand. Yeah. So anyway, let us assume that this is the point P which is present inside the toroid, and we want to find magnetic field induction at this point. Okay, which is present at a distance of capital R from center of the toroid. So now to find magnetic field, what you do, you just construct a closed path now. Okay, so now the closed path will be like this. So this path is an imaginary path, so please remember it will not be there actually, but it's an imaginary path that I am considering. But luckily along this imaginary path the magnetic field will be present. So that is what you have to understand here. Okay, so now let us take a marker now. So now this is the closed path that I am considering. So let us assume that at this point let us choose a small length element. So let us assume that this is the length element that I am choosing. Okay, and it is directed like that. So along the length it will be present, right? And as I already discussed in our previous slide, at this point the magnetic field also will be directed like that only. Okay, so that means the direction of magnetic field and the direction of length will be tangential to the closed path that we have considered. Tangential, that too along the same direction. That means in this case the angle between B and DL will be 0. So that you try to get it. Okay, so anyway, now by Ampere's law we can find magnetic field very easily. How do we find it? You just check it out. So this is line integral of magnetic field. The total line integral of magnetic field around a closed path will be equal to V0 times the current enclosed by the closed path. You already know it. So on expanding this equation, I can write it as integral V dot dl is written as integral B dl cos theta, where theta is angle between B and dl, and I can write this equation as integral B dl cos 0, because as I already told you the value of theta, which is angle between B and dl, is 0 here, and substitute that 0 in place of theta. So if you substitute, you get this equation, but you know that cos 0 is 1, and since cos 0 is 1, that means it becomes 1. You just forget about that, and b is a constant value, so you can take it out. If you take this b outside, you get integral dl. But what is this integral dl? Integral dl is the total length of the closed path that you are choosing, right? So now the total length of the closed path becomes, it's a circle, right? Since it is a circle, the total length of the closed path will be the circumference of the circle, and the circumference of the circle is nothing but 2 pi its radius. And since the radius of this closed path that we are choosing is capital R, I can write it as 2 pi capital R. So this becomes the total length of the closed path that we are choosing. So anyway, the left hand side derivation part is over, and right hand side, what do we have? We have mu 0 times I enclosed. So this equation I can write it as b times 2 pi r is equal to mu 0 time. What is I enclosed? I already told you. So I enclosed is the current that is present inside the closed path. Okay, so now our closed path is this one, right? So this is our closed path, and inside the closed path there are n number. Let us assume that the total number of turns that are present inside this toroid is capital N. I already told you even in our previous topic, the current that is present inside the closed path depends on the number of turns of the solenoid. That was discussed in our previous slide, right? It is also a case of solenoid, but it is bent in the form of circle, that's it. So now the current that is present inside this closed path will be all these currents. For example, this current, this current, this current, all these currents comes inside the closed path. Okay, so now the total current that is present inside this closed path depends on the number of turns. Okay, so if the total number of turns is taken as capital N, then I enclosed becomes N times I. Since I is the current that is entering the solenoid, the total current that is present inside the closed path will be equal to N times I. So now send 2 pi r to right hand side. If you send this 2 pi r to right hand side, you get B is equal to mu 0 Ni by 2 pi r, which is the magnetic field induction due to toroid. Okay, so I hope it is also clear. So right now we have discussed the magnetic field induction due to a solenoid, and also we try to understand and derived the magnetic field induction due to toroid, which are very important. And remember, we derived these values by using Ampere's law. Okay, anyway, I will stop now. I thought of taking the proof of Ampere's law, which is a small one. Of course, it's a short answer question, but I will deal it in our next video. I will stop this video here itself. Okay, so this is what I will deal in our next video. Thank you once again.